In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Practice number 8 for the Cincinnati Bengals as they continue their preparation for the 2024 NFL season. Dave Lapham was at practice today, and we have been doing these daily practice reports. Every day the Bengals are on the field, Lap gets with me, and we talk about what happened on the day. And Lap, it's one of those days where I think everyone's kind of got their sights on something else today, but still didn't take away from the field because, Luke Combs coming in and playing 2 concerts at Paycor Stadium, but the Bengals know work has to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luke Combs is a huge football fan. He was there yesterday. He lives in North Carolina, so I heard him talking about how horrible the Carolina Panthers are. he's not pleased with what's going on down there, but he is a very, very big football fan. And some of the questions he was asking people were high caliber questions. I mean, he's more than a casual fan. So good luck to him with his 2 performances, back-to-back nights here, Friday and Saturday night at Paycor Stadium. And both of them are sold out, and like 55,000 people showing up each night. And he's hot, man. That's a big ticket. Dave, it's at that point where, there have been a good number of workouts now. And as a result of those workouts, injury nicks and bumps and bruises start to mount up a little bit. And then guys that, for whatever reason, are not practicing, a la Jamar Chase, his contract is an issue at this point in time still. The organization is pleased to have him in camp, and he's given a lot of great advice to young receivers, but he's not practicing at this point in time with any sort of ferocity. I mean, he's catching footballs out of jugs, guns, and things of that nature, but he is working out on his own, and he is a workout warrior, man. And a guy with that kind of genetic talent and that kind of work ethic, 1 + 1 = 3. I mean, that leads to greatness. That leads to Hall of Fame type greatness. And this guy is heading in that direction. T. Higgins did very little today. It was another kind of a veteran day for T. Higgins. Cole Burgess, another wide receiver, is nursing an injury. He was out today. Frank Pollock, the offensive line coach, was not at practice today. And so I don't know. Hopefully it's nothing more than a personal issue or some kind of a mild malady, but he wasn't there today. And Derek Frazier, the assistant offensive line coach, stepped up and did a heck of a job. They didn't miss a beat. The practice performance was unaffected. So he's been around a while. He knows exactly what Frank wants done and how he wants it done. And he stepped up and did a good job. Jordan Battle looked like he injured left hand a little bit during the course of practice today. But DJ Ivy has not been working. He did not work again today. Trent Brown did not work again today. Jermaine Burton, a little bit of an ankle tweak, rolled an ankle. He did not work today. So Sam Hubbard, obviously, and Trey Hendrickson, still both of those guys did not work today as well. Jay Tufele has been out for a little bit of a while here. I think the last 2 or 3 practices with an injury, and Cam Sample's injury that occurred yesterday. I don't know. It seems like that one might have some seriousness to it. He was nowhere to be found. So that's, either he's getting more pictures done or some sort of a treatment that prevents him from even being out there. But not for him not to be out there at all, get my concerns as to what's going on with Cam Sample. So that's the nature of the beast. That's what takes place. The more workouts occur, the higher percentage of guys getting nicked up and bumped and bruised. That's life in the National Football League. And as we've said many, many times, when guys are not practicing, other guys get an opportunity to split those snaps and show what they're all about, show their tool set. And you get young guys doing exactly that, taking advantage of it. You get young edge rush guys that are, that they're counting on to give them significant snaps this season. Joseph Asai being one, and he's getting a lot of reps out there. And the more reps he gets, the better it'll be. And again, I want to mention 3 young guys in the secondary. Josh Newton continues to open eyes. Anthony at safety. Josh Newton's wearing number 28 for fans that are going to be down at practice observing. Josh Newton, number 28. Dejan Anthony, number 33. And there's another young cornerback, Lance Robinson, 5'10", 185 pounds, a rookie out of Tulane as a college free agent. He belongs. I'm not saying that he's got the team made, but they've got young guys that are taking advantage of snap opportunities and stepping up and getting some things done, Dave.
Lap, one of the most important things in the NFL today and really in the game of football is what all can you give me? I can't just have you be a one-trick pony. I need more out of you. And this team looks like it's got a lot of guys that are capable of doing multiple tasks when called upon.
No question. I mean, position versatility is, it's here in the National Football League, and it's not going to be going anywhere. And I mean, back in the day, it was like if you had one guy that could play outside and in the slot at the receiver position, you were blessed. Now, all of them are doing it. It's incredible. Even the young guys, as they break guys into the system. Troy Walters does a heck of a job of indoctrinating all of his receivers at multiple spots, and a good number of them at all spots. And you've got defensive backs doing the same thing. Corners playing in the slot and outside. Safeties playing slot corner. It's offensive linemen. If you don't play two positions in the offensive line, you might be falling by the wayside. It's just that is just the way it is. I mean, defensive lineman, you have being able to play on the edge and give you pass rush snaps and snaps against the running side as well. It's prevalent, and it's the nature of the beast in today's NFL. And Gesicki, we talk about his versatility. I mean, this guy is a unique talent at 6'6", over 250 pounds, that can run like he can run, and with the catch radius that he has. And he's a guy that you can play chess with. He's a chess piece you can move all over the board. So it's a very, very real scenario. And I like too, the thing that I'm seeing, Dave, is not only the position versatility, but the communication that goes on between coaches and players is phenomenal. I mean, it really is. And if a player suggests an adjustment to a technique based on his position versatility and his work to the team, if he feels that technique is going to work better for him, coaches are listening. And it's an open dialogue, Dave. Back in the day, it was like in one ear and out the other. Today's players feel validated. I mean, coaches truly listen to what they're talking about, and a lot of times acquiesce. They're like, hey, if you feel like that's going to be best for you and for the football team, I'm all in. Let's do that. Let's go for that. So it really is. And Zach is a true believer in that. He's got his leadership council, his leadership group. The lines of communication are wide open in both directions between coaches and players. And I think that's a big deal. I mean, it's all about collaboration now, Dave. It's not dictatorship. It's whatever's best for the football team is good, plain and simple, point blank.
One of the things that's happened in training camp is basically, back in the day, it used to be players came in to get in shape. Those days are gone. But how important is it to get weather like we're getting, where you have that humidity, you have that heat, to get guys ready for what becomes a grind as the game of football has extended now to where we're into February before the season ends?
Dave, yesterday was brutal in terms of humidity. I mean, it may have been as humid a day as I can remember down on the riverbed. Now it was probably 89, 90 degrees. I mean, it wasn't the hottest day raw temperature wise, but oh my gosh, man, the humans were hanging off the trees. I mean, everybody was dripping wet. I mean, receivers would try to wipe their hands on their pants, their football pants, and they'd be wetter. I mean, there was not a dry spot on their uniforms or on their bodies. And the training staff was having trouble keeping enough towels dry. And I'm telling you, that new locker room, it got a workout after yesterday's practice. They have 11 drying stations in each locker. I'm telling you, all 11 of them were on and working, man, trying to dry out the every piece of equipment, the shoes, the gloves, the shoulder pads, elbow pads, forearm pads. I mean, the locker room, I don't know how many BTUs or watts of energy were used yesterday after practice, but man, it was one of those days. Today it was cloudy, sun wasn't out, the temperature wasn't anywhere near what it was yesterday. There was even a little bit of a breeze, but there was still some humans. I mean, the humidity is what is the trademark here in the riverbed. And I remember it very vividly as a player up there at Wilmington in training camp, where it was, almost 100 degrees and well over 100% humidity, it seemed like. So yeah, and during the course of practice, it doesn't affect anything that they do. Today, Dave, they worked on third down. They worked on third down pressures, and the competitive period was unscripted, offense against defense. So usually the defensive and offensive coordinators get together and they'll script plays. Here's 15, 20 plays I'm going to work on. Just so you know, I'd like to work on this play against this look and this coverage. And they'll script plays, to get something that they feel like they're going to get in the early stages of the season. Well, this drill is more game-like. It's unscripted. Offensive and defensive coordinators just matching wits. And man, Joe Burrow had a day. First play, he went deep to Charlie Jones, who's having himself one hell of a camp. I mean, Iosivas is being talked about on a daily basis, and rightfully so. Charlie Jones, man, he and Iosivas are cut from the same cloth in terms of they both put on good weight, helpful weight. It hasn't slowed them down. In fact, it may have sped them up. They seem to be more explosive in their movements with the new weight. So is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, by the way, looks like he's much more explosive, and his foot movement looks amazing. But he went deep to Charlie for probably about 40 yards right off the bat, and then he goes down the football field, extends a play, and throws a touchdown pass to Shed Jackson. So it's like, man, first two snaps, he ends up going, like 90 yards or so in two plays. So he had a great day today. And then Jake Browning, I mean, he went in there with the second group, and his very first throw was down the football field to Pryor for probably, 35, 40 yards. So obviously the intent in these unscripted plays was deep ball. The Bengals wanted to put an emphasis on the deep ball and let the quarterbacks air it out a little bit. And Joe did it in pocket. Joe did it out of pocket. Browning did it in pocket. So, yeah, I think obviously this football team, like most teams in the National Football League, they're skilled people. It's a thing of beauty to behold. It really is, man. When those guys are in sync and the timing's right, it's something else.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. We cannot say enough about the people at First Star Logistics and everything they do for us to bring you in the trenches with Dave Lapham. We focus and fans focus on what players are doing on the field during camp, but you kind of mentioned it. Training camp is not just about the players. It's also about these coaches. The Bengals have been very lucky. They've had a consistent group of coaches. And while Zach Taylor brought up in his press conference yesterday, hey, our new guys, I really like what we're getting from them. But at the same time, Brian Callahan's now at Nashville as the head coach of the Titans. So Dan Pitcher moves up. He's been with them. But training camp's also about the coaches as you get ready to prepare for game situation. How important has this camp been with a couple new changes, the new wrinkles with Dan Pitcher now as the offensive coordinator and guys like Riscotti and so forth being added to the staff?
Yeah, and I talked to Joe Burrow after today's practice, Dave, with Dan Horde. We've got a little thing we're doing with Sirius XM Radio, and Joe was our guest for about a 15-minute stretch. We talked to him about that as well, and it has been seamless. Dan Pitcher, it's been like free flow right to that offensive coordinator position. And I think the key is, like Zach Taylor talked about it at a presser earlier in the week, he gives coaches like, okay, today I'm going to expand your horizons. I'm going to let you call some plays. I'm going to give you an added responsibility here, maybe not play calling, but you're going to do this in addition to other things you've done for most of the week at practice. So Zach Taylor is very, very good with, not only versatility with his players, he wants versatility within his coaching staff. He doesn't want it to be, okay, this guy is tunnel visioned on this, and if they lose him, or God forbid he gets sick or has to have an operation or procedure or something, then where are you? So Zach is always doing a good job of cultivating these young coaches and bringing them along, giving them more areas of responsibility, and every assistant that has been on Zach Taylor's staff has said the same thing to me. They can't be more thankful for his mindset in that regard. And he's, I think he definitely has a reputation around the league very positively in that regard, in terms of really, really letting coaches grow and develop, just like you draft players and you develop them and you grow those players. Same thing, you sign young coaches, you develop them, you let them grow and become, even coaches that can handle more of a workload and handle it very, very successfully and not be intimidated by it. And I think it shows itself when something like this happens. I mean, your goal, your dream as a head coach is to get as many of your coaches other head coaching opportunities as you possibly can. I mean, that's a legacy. You always look at, oh man, yeah, okay, he's in this tree, he's in the Parcells tree, he's in the Belichick tree, he's in this tree, he's in that tree. Zach Taylor would love to have a tree. I mean, he'd love to have that kind of legacy. It's like that's something that in the coaching fraternity, I mean, you're highly respected for accomplishing that. And he's got a sound system of developing players, coaches, and everybody in the organization.
Lap, only a few days in of wearing pads, but players get tired of going against their own teammates. We're just days away from the first preseason game. Are you seeing guys getting more excited, getting ramped up, knowing that, hey, within the next week, we're going to be playing real football?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, the Hall of Fame game, even though it got rained out, I mean, the Hall of Fame game is almost like, all right, well, here's the rite of passage. This is the first contact game. This is the true start of the NFL season. Not the games to count, but now you're up in Canton, Ohio, honoring the great players that are being entered into the Hall of Fame that particular year, and in playing football. And as usual with most Hall of Fame games, it was younger players fighting for their professional lives, trying to do everything they possibly could do. So that's always the beginning of it. And then the very next week, the entire league, or a good part of the entire league, once that weekend is done, be it Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, or afternoon on Saturday, or whatever the case may be, all 30 other teams are going to be getting after it again. And so these two teams that play in the Hall of Fame game get a fourth preseason game to evaluate players with. But it's here. And I do think that guys understand that. And I think they're looking forward to hitting something in a different colored jersey because, Dave, it's good. It's good to work against your teammates, but you can form bad habits because you get lulled to sleep because you know what the best move is. You know what to expect. You fall into, maybe I'm going to take this for granted, and you lose your edge a little bit. And you got to get it back. I mean, you got to get ready because now you line up against another colored jersey you necessarily haven't played. Even veteran players, they don't play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a regular basis. I mean, that's not a division rival. That's not a division foe. That's not a rival like the Kansas City Chiefs that they've played a lot in the last few years. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many of the starters go, how long they're going to go. Joe did mention again today that it sounds like there's a shot that he's going to get some snaps, and it hasn't been determined yet how many. Zach Taylor and the coaching staff and Joe and everybody's going to talk about that, and that'll trickle down to how many snaps other players get offensively. But Joe Burrow's out in the field. Every single player that is going to be on the field in the opener, a regular season opener will be on the field with Joe Burrow, getting timing down. And he said that he's, not looking forward to getting hit, but he said there's a good chance he's going to get hit, and so be it if that's the case. And let's get after it. So obviously the biggest thing on everybody's mind, with snaps that are taken in this preseason, is getting off to a faster start. You can't afford a slow start, and a slow start within the division. You got to get off to get out of the blocks and get off to a much better start, and that's the number one priority, the number one goal.
Lap, I want to get one final question. Basically, rookies, I don't think they come in anymore and have a training camp wall that they hit, because the way camp's done in college, a lot's thrown at them. But does there come a point in time in training camp where it's not the physical aspect of the game, but they're being thrown so much mentally, or has the game changed enough with things like mini camp and OTAs that allow these guys to be basically not really hit a mental wall in camp?
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, because with OTAs and everything that goes along with that, the coaches are making adjustments based on looking at last year's tape even before those OTAs start. What package worked, what didn't, how are we going to tweak this, modify this, and they start installing it and taking a look at it. Any changes that they're thinking about, and then maybe getting reps on things that are their bread and butter that worked so well the year before, and those start before the draft and free agency and all that sort of thing. And some veteran free agents may be there, but late signing veteran free agents may not. So they have an installation, and there is a second installation, but it's very, very quick, and now here come the young guys, and now some of them are getting it, a lot of times for the very first start. These three players that they picked up just last week, I mean, you talk about your head swimming, man. Everybody's had at least one, probably two installation of plays, and the bus isn't going to stop for you, man. The bus is on the interstate and it's rolling, so you have to get up to speed, and you have to do it quickly. You don't want to be making mistakes, and you definitely don't want to be making the same mistake more than once. So, and coaches factor that in, but you don't want to be a guy that is play after play, snap after snap. You're screwing it up and you're slowing the whole process down for your football team, offensively and defensively. You're screwing up practice. You don't want to be that guy. So it is interesting, and the coaches have talked about it. Both Dan Pitcher and Lou Anarumo, they're like, yeah, we've got a good bit in. Now, is it are we done? Are we done what we're installing, what we're going to have in the opener? No, but we've got a good bit in, and we may look at it as our base stuff, but to young guys who haven't been around, who's getting a first exposure to it, and we talked about it, Dave. You've been around the game as a player and covering it all these years. You know that, I mean, it's different language, different nomenclature. People call the same configuration and schematic different things. So you're in France, but they're speaking German, and it's like, what? So now you have to unlearn terminology that you're so familiar with, either collegiately or with another professional team if you're a veteran free agent, and learn the new terminology, and all of that can get dicey for sure. So it's that process is always very interesting, and watching how teammates help each other with that, and because there's a lot of communication that goes on, in position groups. I mean, the communication that goes on in the offensive line, I can speak to is extraordinary. I mean, there's a lot of it, and it goes on right up until the ball is snapped a lot of times. Same thing for the defense, the defensive front seven. Same thing in the secondary. I mean, every time people go in motion and change the strength of formation, all that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of dialogue that goes on a football field, and man, it's almost like there's there's multiple lines that the operator has to keep straight out there, and don't let the lines cross, from a communication standpoint. So it's very interesting. And then that's why you have spokespeople that have the green dots, and they're the guys that are going to, do the bulk of the communicating, and their word's the final word. But all of that's very interesting, Dave, and it all is part of the process. There's no question about it. It's happening on a day-to-day basis. And the communication, like we talked about, Logan Wilson's extraordinary, Von Bell, Geno Stone, that little triangle right there on the back end is very, very effective. I think it's going to be as good as it gets. I really do.
You've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Do Lap a favor. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to In the Trenches. Also, comment. Give us your comments. We do look at them and we discuss them. And sometimes we even throw them into one of our recordings, or when we do a special live stream and so forth. But we want to make sure that you're taking part in the trenches with Dave Lapham, because you're in a very important part of what we do. Remember, you can watch episodes on YouTube on Dave Lapham in the Trenches, or the First Star Media Group, And also, you can listen to wherever you get your podcast from. Lap, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to spend with us and put out In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Any final comments you have?
I guess, Dave, one thing that as we talk about some of these young players, a couple of guys that have been playing pretty darn good football for a period of time here. But notice today, I want to give Travis Bell. This guy's 6'1", 305 pounds. And it's like, all right, well, 6'1", 305, 2 years out of Kennesaw State. He is an effort dude. He's challenged at 6'1", Dave, but man, he brings it every snap. And a guy at 6'1" has got low pads, and he is a pain in the side. Trying to get your pad level lower than his. I mean, he in pass rush today, he got poked in the eye because it's like he's a little bit shorter, and you go to jam, you extend those arms and get the hands out there, and boom, poked him right in the eye. But man, he recovered from it and still gave tremendous effort. Cedric Johnson, watch this kid. I mean, this kid is a very, very effective rookie. He can do a lot of things. Position versatility, I think, is going to be part of his deal, and he is so attentive, man. He is on every single word the coaches are talking about. Those are a couple of guys that, am I saying they're going to make the football team? It's going to be long odds, but man, these are the guys that have skills, have talent, and want to get as many snaps on tape as they possibly can. Guys like this, and there are more. The Bengals have more, and every team in the NFL has them. And that's what is the interesting dynamic of watching training camp evolve, Dave.
That's the beauty of the NFL. Guys who are fighting for their future, their careers, for the game. As I tell people all the time, usually 99% of the guys who play the game of football, they will not decide when their career ends. Someone's going to say, you can no longer play this game. And it's always great, Lap, that you bring up these guys that are fighting for their careers. And we always like to talk about, the superstars, and most people, that's all they talk about, is the superstars. That's why I like doing In the Trenches with you, Dave, because you also bring out the guys who are, like you said, an effort guy, a guy who's fighting every little, rep. As every rep matters when you're in training camp and you're fighting for your professional career.
Absolutely. And like we talked about yesterday, athletes it's great, but I mean, if I'm going to make a choice between an athlete and a football player, I'm going football player every time. Now, if that athlete's a tremendous football player, a la Jamar Chase, that's a no-brainer. But I mean, if the guy is, unbelievable athletic skills, but a little dicey, a little questionable if he can transfer that to the football field and play football, as opposed to the guy that might not run as fast, jump as high, and lift his weights as well. But watching him on a football field, man, this dude, he understands football. Give me the football player every single time. So that's what these guys may not be the greatest of athletes. I'm not saying that about Cedric. Cedric Johnson is he's one of those guys that you look at and it's like, oh wow, this guy's got some athletic ability. There's no doubt. But he's flashing. He's showing some things. He's showing an ability as a rusher off the edge. He dropped into coverage, almost had an interception today, almost made a great leaping interception, played the run pretty well. I mean, he's showing himself. And you don't have to be the greatest athlete if you know how to play football. And that's what coaches are looking for, man. Football players.
In the Trenches with Dave Lapham is presented again by First Star Logistics. If you're looking for a new career, be sure to visit firststarlogistics.com for details how you can become part of their winning team. As they always say, opportunities knocking, not just like for players like a Cedric Johnson or a Travis Bell working for the NFL, but for you in the industry of logistics. For Dave Lapham, this has been Dave Burke. Again, thank you for being with us on In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Hooday.
Hooday, Dave.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.